And we are live, I believe. What's going on, guys? We are back with another interview. It's been, I want to say, at least 2 or 3 weeks since I've had an interview here. We were actually supposed to do this interview last Friday, but there was a scheduling conflict. My fault, which rarely happens. I was very upset about that. But we are happy to have her here now. It is sugar-free Brie. How's it going? Hello? Hello, hello? Uh-oh. Oh no. Internet connection's messing up.
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my connection just
Oh,
had a little bit of a spike. I think we're back. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Let me just give me 1 sec to verify that this is all working out. Sorry about that. Our internet. Let me know if you guys can hear me. If the sound quality is okay. YouTube's giving me a little error message right now. In chat though, just let me know. Hopefully everything's working. Think we're good now. Okay, how is it going, Bree?
It's going well. We are staying nice and toasty here in Ontario, Canada. We had some snow today, so I am manifesting some warmer weather and some tropical clothing. But other than that, I'm doing very well.
You also, I just realized, share a name with a cheese, which not many people can say they do.
This is true. I mean,
Is
I'm
there
also a cheese
another
fan.
cheese that's a name? Not that I can
I've heard
really.
of not human names, but I've seen dogs be called like Gouda, which I am obsessed with, or
That's a
Cheddar.
good
If
name.
you're a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan, Cheddar is a corgi, and I also have a corgi. And I said the next dog will be named after a cheese because that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
think Gouda's a good one for a pet.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you. I know, obviously, in the thumbnail, you can see she's had an amazing keto transformation, but take us back. How did you find keto? What were you doing before that? And how have you had so much success?
So I started out in 2017 in January. It was a New Year's resolution to finally lose some weight. I had yo-yo dieted my entire life. I was always overweight, always struggled with my health, and I was actually initially going to start Atkins because I was familiar with the name. I know that other people I knew had tried that before and had some success with it. So I said, okay, like let's give this a try. And I was actually posting meals on Snapchat when I was still using Snapchat back in the day. And a girl had messaged me saying, "Oh, are you doing keto?" And I said, "What's that?" And she essentially said, "It's like Atkins, it's like what you're doing, but it's better."
Hmm.
So I started Googling, and sure enough, I was like, okay, this is essentially what I'm doing. And the really big point that I saw when I was first looking into keto was I could have cream in my coffee. And I already liked sweeteners. So switching
Yep.
out sweetener for sugar was no issue. But the fact that I could have cream in my coffee and eat such nutrient dense foods like avocados and bacon and eggs and all these amazing foods, I was like, this is for me. Like, this is going to work. So
Hmm.
I started off in January, just slowly eliminating those sugary items and breads and pastas, and then slowly started tracking my macros. Um, and about 4 months in, just diet alone, I had lost 25 pounds. And once I started seeing those results, it really motivated me to keep going because my initial goal was 50. And that was a hefty goal at the time.
Hmm.
So as I started progressing, I started realizing like, this is doable. I could do this. So 4 months in, I went back to the gym, started off with just walking on the treadmill, going on the elliptical, straight cardio, because that's all I knew. And then I started seeing more results. So I think by 6 months, I had hit about 45, 50 pounds. And I was like, that's it. Like, this is amazing. So I kept on at it at the gym, started incorporating what's called a body pump class at my local gym. So
Hmm.
weightlifting, started seeing some further results and definition that I didn't know was possible. And by the 2 year mark, I had hit 80 pounds lost. And I mean, that was just with me following the guidelines of what traditional keto is. I didn't do fasting. I hadn't incorporated fasting until I was a year and a half in. I know a lot of people have this all or nothing mentality, but I really did build my habits to get to that 80 pounds. And I think that is something that really allowed me to get to that point at a healthy um, at a healthy pace for myself and to not like, go crazy in the process or put a stress on my body.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that actually sparked some memories for me. I remember back because, like, I think when most of us are on a diet, we wake up and it's like the first thing on our mind, and it's just like sandbagging your calories. So, like, having cream in your coffee is really a huge paradigm shift where you're like, the calories don't matter as much. I'm having like this whole food, putting it in my coffee. Feels kind of good. It starts to change your perspective on things because yeah, I remember back, I think in college after I played basketball, and then I was in college for 1 year after finishing basketball because I was bad at school. And that was when I was like, oh, I got to do diets now because I'm not as active. And it was just like the worst. Like I just started doing 1,500 calories a day. And I just remember in the morning, it was always just trying to like push off my calories until I'd get home. And some days I'd get home at like 7 p.m. and I just have all my calories left. And it was like the best. But it's obviously not a good mindset to be in. So you've been sticking to it for 4 years. So I guess like, what's your previous experience with diets? Because you said there was a moment where you're like, oh, I can really do this. This seems like it's going to work for me. Did you ever have that with other diets? Did any other ones work for you?
No. So it's so crazy because I'm 31 now. I've had my fair share of yo-yo dieting, from everything just from straight calorie restriction, which I had seen results with, but obviously wasn't sustainable. I just always gained the weight back. And I wasn't seeing the results quickly. Again, that's like a huge thing for people. They want it now, they want it overnight. And that
Yeah.
my patience had just run thin at that point. And I hadn't tried anything like really extreme. Of course, like just restricting calories was always a thing, but I never looked at like what I was eating. And to me, keto has really allowed me to have a healthy relationship with food, which I never really had. I never had any sort of relationship with food before because there was no actual connection to it. I was just eating to eat, whether it was an emotional trigger or I just wanted something quick, or it was like a home cooked meal of like, I'm Italian, so anything with pasta and bread and heavy starches. It was just like this sense of um, like childhood memories and stuff like that. I never actually had a positive relationship with food. And keto really allowed me to look at this whole foods approach and really savor the foods that I was having because they were freaking good. Like I never had to worry about, oh, like a bland salad. Okay, only having a little bit of olive oil. Now it was like, okay, I'm going to have like a regular amount of olive oil. And I'm actually sitting down and enjoying every single bite of it because one, it tastes good. And two, I know how I feel when I'm eating this food, which is my energy levels. Like the weight loss is one thing, but energy levels are up, inflammation is down. There's just so many other benefits that keto provided me that I didn't even know existed prior to
Mhm.
this way of life.
Yeah, I think for a majority of people, it feels normal when you're saying like you put the olive oil on and you just like put whatever on. You're not like measuring it out. Most people are like, oh, that's probably how we're supposed to do things. But there is a certain percentage of people that are just like so deep in the diet game and where they're like, oh, this feels weird. Like just pouring olive oil on my food. Just like the modern diet culture, I guess for some people it's so ingrained that it's tough to do that. But definitely for me, I relate more to you where it was like, oh, this seems more normal, like the way humans were meant to eat, not counting things all the time. But I guess, you've had such success, do you track and do you count calories religiously, or what's your whole strategy?
So I do track, not religiously. So there's days where I just intuitively eat, and some days I go over my calories, some days I'm under. But also, it depends. Like if I'm out and about, am I going to sit at the dinner table or at the dining table and say, okay, there's 6 ounces of chicken. Okay, there's 80 grams of lettuce. Like absolutely not. I'm there to enjoy if it's a dinner with my friends, or if I'm out with my fiance, anything like that.
I think
But when
that's
I am
scary to
dating,
some people, though.
for sure. And absolutely, I think when you're first starting, it's super intimidating. You want to know what's in, for me, I wanted to know what was in everything. I did not go off plan. About a year in, I said, I have a hold on this. I have a hold on my hunger cravings, on my sugar cravings. I feel like I have a grasp on what works for me. So
Hmm.
then I felt like super confident going out to restaurants and ordering whatever I could that was possibly like keto-fied on the menu. And I think that is intimidating for people, and it doesn't have to be. Once you get comfortable and you know serving sizes and all of that, for me, it became more natural. Day to day, I do measure things like cream in my coffee because I could go all out. I could probably have 200 calories in my coffee and not even realize it. So things like that, I do measure out, because when I don't do it for long periods of time, I notice my weight creep up, but not just my weight, I don't feel as good.
Yeah.
Um, that's just my journey. I know that is not for everyone. I'm very much a type A. So I like being organized, and I do at times, I'm more strict if I have a specific goal. But if I'm just living my life and enjoying the foods I'm eating, I'm not going to be tracking 100% of the time.
Hmm. So, what do you do with like cheating on your diet and just like, I guess, what's your whole protocol? Are you really strict if you do have cheat meals or like indulgences occasionally? How often? Because a lot of people, they are intimidated, and I think this sabotages them early on, where they're like, I can't do this for the rest of my life, so I might as well not even do it this week, type of a thing.
Right.
So, how do you balance all that and have been able to stick to it long term?
Yeah, and this is something I get questions about a lot. And I think for everyone, it's really circumstantial. For myself, I don't think I cheated or went off plan for the first year, because I was so results driven that nothing was going to derail me. And it didn't. And I was so happy with the results I was seeing that I didn't feel the need to go off plan. I think the first time I ever went off plan is when my partner and we had gone on vacation together. And I said, I'm going to have some desserts. Like, I worked this hard. I'm going to have a couple desserts throughout the week. I had some drinks. And then, but when I got back, I was like, okay, this is the feeling I don't like feeling, which is like the grogginess. I mean, we had just gotten back from a beach vacation. So, of course, everything's a little bit harder to get back to. But the grogginess, the bloating, the inflammation, I said, and this is why I don't eat like that. So I remember those feelings. If I ever want to go off plan, I'll do it. But generally now there's so many keto alternatives out there. Like, I don't need to miss out on dessert. The only thing that I haven't super nailed down is like French fries. I know there's jicama recipes and zucchini recipes that I've tried, but other than that, like, I do not miss anything, because I'm still able to have these amazing foods with keto that I used to have pre-keto, but they're just much healthier versions of what I was eating before. In terms of off-plan meals, I just get back on the horse the next day, essentially. I don't, if I feel like fasting, I do. But generally, if I go off plan, I'm going to probably be hungry the next day. So I don't force anything. I really have learned with keto to listen to my body and what it needs. I don't do off-plan meals that frequently, because I don't think I would see the results and feel the way I want to feel if I did that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's sometimes it's self-correcting, where you think you really want to do a cheat meal and then you do it and you just like regret it and it wasn't that good
Yes.
and you don't feel good. So like the
Yeah.
only times I usually cheat now is we go to like fancy dinners where I know that it's like something I really want, and we chat and it's like more of an experience.
Yes.
But just like Domino's Pizza, like that stuff, I don't really even crave that as much.
No,
It is really
the
good though.
chicken crust pizza that you guys
Yeah.
have invented and nailed, like, I would rather eat that 10 times over and feel way better the next day and
Yeah.
feel satisfied for much longer than I would by going to get a pizza from somewhere else with like all that dough.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess to me it's almost like you're just kind of you're mailing it in at that point when you get home with the Dominoes. I'm just like I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. It's just like, what are you doing? But a question is, so you said you started in 2017, and a lot of people, they have these New Year's resolutions, right? So like I
Mhm.
assume prior to 2017 you had done the New Year's resolution thing before. Why
Mhm.
did it work for you this time? Like, what were you more motivated? What was the difference?
Definitely, like, I had also matured. I was 27 at the time. And so I was a young adult. I had my first like full-time job. I was in a very serious, committed relationship, and I had a partner who was also supporting me at the time. He is not keto, but fully supported whatever journey I was going to be on. And he would eat what I was eating, but then maybe have some rice for himself on the side. But he really did help me. And the fact that I was, in a stable job with temptations all around, by the way. I worked in mining, so there was donuts at every meeting, and I just had to learn the word no. Did I want to have the donut? Sure. But
Hmm.
I remembered seeing the guys in my office feel like crap after eating it. Like 10 minutes later, like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah, I feel great.
I feel like
All
they never
because I
connect
said
it
no.
though. They don't realize that it's the donut,
Oh, for sure.
which is
And, but
weird.
like, I would I kept it to myself, right? Because they would be like, there's no way you can live without carbs. I'm like, yeah, 4 years deep, I'm still living. But yeah. And then slowly people would start seeing the results. And again, it was a male dominated field. So, the remarks were sometimes off putting, but they'd be like, have you lost weight? And I'm like, yeah, it's keto. They're like, okay, tell me more. I'm like, well, stop eating the donuts and it might help.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, a lot of mining up in Canada, eh?
Uh, Especially where I'm from in Sudbury. So we actually have what's called the big nickel here. And so nickel
Yeah.
is our number one export. But yeah, outside of our bedroom window, you can actually see the big nickel.
So how about like ordering out? I don't know what's your like I guess how strict are you with things? This is a question a lot of people have. Like do you order out? Do you do like diet sodas? Do you get fast food, bunless burgers, that type of thing? How do you approach
Absolutely.
that?
For sure. So generally when I'm out for dinner, I will get like I always just go to the mains because it's like a protein is the focus. So I will generally get like a steak or a chicken breast. If we're doing something casual and it's wings, we always just pick a place that does like has a non-breaded wing option, or I'll do bunless burgers with either like a lettuce wrap or just ask for extra lettuce on the side so that it's like a nice big salad with a burger in it. Yeah, like I'm not tracking when I'm going out to restaurants and stuff like that because it's generally a full hearty meal. I'm very thankful that a lot of restaurants now, if I go and I say, hey, I'll have the chicken breast, but I don't need the potatoes. Can I have extra vegetables or can I add on a salad? Sometimes they'll charge, but sometimes they won't because a lot of places are adapting to the low carb way of life. And actually last night I held an event with a local distillery here and we had a keto cocktails class. So the fact that there are actual restaurants now going and saying, we offer keto friendly options, like mind blown. It's about time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So to go and eat out at a restaurant now, to me, it's a lot easier than it was 4 years ago. So yeah, eating out, I just mainly focus on that protein, get something like really hearty, and then just get a salad or steamed vegetables, anything like that. It's usually safe. And then sauce on the side if you're like worried about it having sugar in it. But if I'm going out, then I'll go all out and just get sauce on whatever I'm having.
Yeah. She's being naughty tonight.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah. Eating out, we've been doing it more. I guess once you have kids, it's just like some days it's just like I don't have it in me to cook tonight. So sometimes we'll get takeout. We get a Whole Foods Hot Bar a lot, which has good. They have like a paleo section. So we get dinner from there a lot. Sometimes we just get
Nice.
rotisserie chickens. That's pretty solid. You can never
Oh
go
my God,
wrong.
oh my God. So we don't have a Whole Foods like where we are, but yeah, I'll go to Costco and get their $8 rotisserie chicken and I'm set for 2 days. Like that is the best, easiest, cheapest dinner for us. And I absolutely love it.
So, your partner, husband, boyfriend, I'm not sure what he is at this point.
Fiance.
Fiance.
I'm not sure what he is.
Is he doing keto now, or is he still? You make him the
So
sides, and how do you approach that?
yeah, great question. So again, it's kind of like when we're going out for dinner, like I'll make our main protein. So whether it's steak, burgers, chicken, whatever, I will make myself a side of vegetables or a salad. And he will have like rice or he'll eat what I'm making, but I know it's not like his favorite. So I'll make a ton of vegetables, give him some of them, and then he can have it in rice or pasta or whatever. If he wants like sweet potatoes, he'll do that. But it's not like really inconvenient for me because I'm already at the stove or I'm already at the kitchen preparing everything. It's not a big deal to boil a sweet potato for him. Like it's not the end of the world. We do not have kids and we don't plan on having any. So for us, it's a little bit easier. I know for people who have kids like yourselves, it can be challenging at dinner time or meal time to say, okay, I'm having this, but they want this and they want this. I can imagine that is a huge pain in the butt. But he's been like super accommodating. Like I make cauliflower rice or I'll make like cauliflower risotto and he'll have that because that's what's there. So it's great.
Yeah. Does he ever order just like a side of breadsticks for dinner and get it delivered when you're cooking? That'd be funny.
No, but if he's watching this, don't get any funny ideas.
Yeah.
No, but it's honestly so great. So even like there's Pizza, which is like in our downtown core, they have a keto unbun crust now. So if we ever wanted to order pizza and like I didn't feel like cooking or he didn't feel like cooking, it's so great because we can both actually order pizza now, which is phenomenal. He has been, I have to say, like really great though. He's made me us meals that are keto and he is so proud of them when he makes them, which makes me in turn so proud. Like he's made a better meatloaf than I have that's been ketofied, and I'm not like a meatloaf fan, and I was like, this is sad that you're now beating me in the kitchen in terms of flavor. So it's
Yeah.
been really good.
Yeah, I always think I'm not that big of a meatloaf fan because it just sounds gross and it's like old fashioned and stuff. But
Yes.
when I eat it, I always am pleasantly surprised, usually.
He makes it way better than I. It's one thing I will admit that he makes a kick-ass meatloaf, and I am not good at that yet. So
Yeah. And then, guys, Brie is big on Instagram. Sugar Free Brie is her handle. And she also has a website, which I link both of these down in the description of this video if you want more from her. She has like a little interview series. I think, is it in the Reels section? Is that what it is?
it's in the IGTV section. Yeah,
IGTV.
I've
So
got
we
three
were
up there.
actually on here once, back when I had a beard.
Yes.
So what's some interesting things you've learned in your Keto Collective interview series?
So it's been great because like we were talking about earlier, I don't like to just learn about someone's journey who's like my own. I've had a carnivore, someone who's mainly carnivore focused, and learning and appreciating the fact that keto can go so many different ways for so many different people is what really makes, in my mind, is what makes this lifestyle sustainable. Learning that you can have a ton of vegetables or just go straight meat based, or if you're really whole foods approach, like in the chat that we had, and the fact that you focus more on the whole foods approach, I think is really important. I do incorporate sweeteners and I love a Diet Pepsi. Like I'd rather have that over a glass of wine any day of the week because it's just so crisp. But then there's other people out there who are like, absolutely not, like no sweeteners because it upsets my stomach and whatnot. So just learning the variety of ways that keto can be done successfully, and by successfully, I don't just mean weight loss. I'm talking about those things I mentioned earlier. Like I know one individual, actually several individuals, who have reversed their type 2 diabetes by following a ketogenic diet. Like that to me is phenomenal. They no longer have to take any medication for depression. The inflammation in their body has massively decreased, so they can start running again. So I've just learned that keto can help in so many other ways other than the ways it helped me. I think it's just incredible the benefits that it can have. And I know I started this for weight loss, and a lot of people start this for weight loss, but there's these magical things that happen along the way that you actually don't even realize are happening until you look back at yourself 2, 3, 6 months, and you're like, I don't even recognize them anymore. Not only from a physical standpoint, from like mental and emotional. Like I used to be hormonal as heck, and I have my hormones, I like don't
Oh no.
very much in tune with my, oh,
We lost
still
you for
very
a sec.
much
Go
in,
ahead.
oh, sorry. Still very much in tune with my emotions, but the hormonal balance of keto has been like incredible. And I know a lot of people have seen that successful aftermath as well. So just hearing other people's stories and how different they are from my own is awesome.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting. Talking to so many people, it seems like more so than anything, like your personality will really dictate the best way to do the diet, and it's something you kind of have to figure out for yourself. Like, there's probably certain people that do good when they track everything. Like we've interviewed a bunch of people that they're doing it all like pen and paper. They're tracking everything. They stick to it exactly down to the calorie. I think some people that probably would not work for at all. Just like different personality types. Some people need to be
Sure.
more strict. I think for me, I tend to be the person who's like, if I hear about something, I can just start it tomorrow and I'll be super strict about it. But as soon as I slip up, it's like a slippery slope type of a thing. It's just, like that's all she wrote. We're done. Where Mega is much more, I think I like her approach better, and I'm trying to adapt it more, or adopt it. Where it's just like, nothing really matters all that much. One meal is not a big deal. Just be more casual with it. And just mentally, I think that's a better approach for a lot of people, but it's tough. I mean, you got to figure it out for yourself. But I think the number one maybe thing, and maybe you can like speak on how you address this, which is like so many people, they're doing diets because they want to look good in like a couple months usually. How do you switch it to being a long-term lifestyle and not focusing so much on the scale over the course of like a couple weeks to a couple months?
I think this is still a struggle that I have, but I really learned to what feels good with my body. Like the other day, I hadn't stepped on the scale in months. Like it hadn't synced in months, but I
Hmm.
literally was 1 pound off to my guesstimate for how much I thought I weighed because of how I felt in my clothes and how I felt in my body. And I was like, and this is why keto works for me. I don't need to step on the scale anymore to determine my worth, to determine how I feel. And I think that a lot of women in particular struggle with that because we've this mantra of like having to be thin has been ingrained in us in so long. And now for me, I've been focusing on other aspects of my health that make me feel better. Like even just wearing my Garmin watch, just seeing that my heart rate has dropped so significantly when my workout routine is when I'm working out consistently, when I'm eating well, just seeing that number dip into the 40s, that would have never happened 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things I'm looking at, and those are the health markers that I'm starting to use to determine whether or not I'm healthy or not. Um, Even like clothing nowadays, I used to say, okay, if I can fit into a size 8, like that's great. So I fit into a size 8, that's awesome. And then I go to another store and I'm a size 10. I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so bad about myself. I'm like, that's out the window now too, because you can't even base your worth or something on a number. It's just not universal. It doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't work because you have to just know it for yourself and you have to know what feels good for you, and it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, and consistency is the key. I stand by that statement 100%.
Yeah, that's the key to everything, really. I always say that, but people don't like to hear that.
Mhm.
They like the tips, the hacks, the 10-day cleanses, that type of stuff.
Yes.
But if you do
Yeah.
stuff consistently for the long term, and I think what can help is a lot of people, they measure the lagging variables, which would be like your scale weight, different things like that, even your dress size to some extent, where you don't have full control. Like you're kind of saying, like maybe the dress sizes are different, maybe you're just like a little bloated that day, stuff like that. What you have full control over is what you eat, how many days in a row you stick to your diet. So if you measure stuff like that, instead of getting caught up with the results take care of themselves in a sense. That helps, but it's tough.
Absolutely.
It's really tough. I don't know. I always think
And for
like,
because you want to have those measurable moments, right?
yeah,
And
the
I can
scale
say
gives
that
you a
because
number. That's why people
for
like it.
sure. And like, you know what? I have my measuring tape. I will measure my waist, my hips, my chest. I still use that because to me that is an easier marker for myself. And I have a scale now that, I mean, guesstimates as much body fat, bone mass, all that kind of stuff. How
Yeah.
accurate it is, I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking at not just the number. I'm looking at, did my muscle mass increase? Did my body fat percentage go down? Those to me are measurable markers that I'm looking at for myself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. And then you're still a young adult, I guess. I'm not. I
Oh,
don't even
thanks.
consider myself a young. What is a young adult these days? Is it like early
um,
20s, mid 20s?
I would, yeah, I would say I'm 31 now, so I'll still take young.
Yeah, I'm just a legitimate adult now. That's we went to like this paint drinking and painting
I
thing the other
saw.
night. Yeah. And we were like the oldest people there. It was crazy. Like everyone was like 22, but what I did notice is the people next like the 22-year-old, that crowd, they care so much about what everyone thinks. Everything they say is just like I'm awesome. That's like the
Yeah.
subtext to everything. It's just like I hated
Yes.
that. It's
Yes.
it's really
So
annoying.
that's, yeah. So if that constitutes me as a young adult, I am not, because I am not like that. I hope I'm not like that, but yeah.
Yeah, so getting out on the town, how do you approach drinking on a keto diet?
Well, currently we're in lockdown, so we don't get to leave our house to go out for dinner right now. But when that is not going on, um, I actually will look at I enjoy wine. I'm a red wine drinker. So I will look at the menu before we go. If it's someplace I'm not familiar with, check out their wine list, and then I will Google sugar content. I'm not drinking a whole bottle to myself. I'll definitely have a glass or two at dinner.
It's hard to
But
find sometimes, isn't it? The sugar content.
it is, but then if I can't find any info, I'll do like a rum and diet Coke, or I'll do vodka water, vodka soda with lemon. A lot of places are now starting to carry the pre-made mixes, which is great, that are like keto-friendly options. So that's typically what I stick to. But we have a fair few amount of restaurants that we really enjoy dining out at in our hometown, and I'm familiar with what I enjoy there. And typically, if you go on to what we have as the LCBO app, it's the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, they actually list the sugar content right on the app. So if I were to scan a bottle, the contents of the sugar doesn't list carbs, but at least I know if it's a super dry wine and it's got 2 grams per liter, it's a safe bet. I'm okay with not knowing the total carbs. So that has been a great resource for us, or for me to use anyways. Like if I go into a store now, I can just scan any bottle and it should come up automatically, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any like rules or routines or anything that you stick to 100%, you're uncompromising on, that have helped you have so much success?
Um, Maybe not so much. I think feel good movement is really important to me now. When I
What's that?
first, just any sort of movement that makes me feel good, whether it's going for a walk, going for a run, lifting weights. I'm not moving my body to move it anymore. I'm moving it because it's going to make me feel good. I don't if I feel like going to an online Zumba class, like I'll do that instead of going for a run that day. I'm really trying to focus on exercise that's I'm not doing it because I have to, or it's on the schedule. I'm really trying to focus on moving every day for sure, but doing something that's going to make me feel good, because I don't have the all or nothing mentality anymore. But I feel like when I'm moving well, I'm eating well, and I'm feeling the best I possibly can. I think most of the time those things are linked for me. So if I've fallen off the bandwagon with a workout for the day, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just like have an extra keto treat. So for me, it's not all or nothing all the time, but you definitely start to see a ripple effect. When one thing goes, the next thing might go. When in all
Yeah.
reality, it should be, okay, I didn't work out today. Okay, so I really need to be clean with my eating. Unfortunately, that is not, my life is not perfect, and I do not think that way all the time. So I think incorporating movement is my non-negotiable every day. So if it's going out for a walk with the dog for 30 minutes, that's me
Mhm.
getting off my butt and doing something to benefit myself, and trying just not to be so hard on myself as I once was, and being so strict with that. I think that those are my non-negotiables, just day to day.
Yeah, I think that is a good one. As adults, yeah, we don't like, kids just run around and play. And we think we're supposed to, like, swipe our card at the gym, go on the treadmill, look miserable, not talk to anyone. The way we live our life is just insane these days. We go to like this box, headphones on, and we like sometimes we'll give a glare at someone else who's like next to us. It's such a weird life we have. Um,
It's true, yes.
yeah, like rec sports are cool. I used to play basketball, but this all shut down obviously now. But like getting into some
Mhm.
rec sports, I think like flag football could be fun. Even just walking in the sun is always, that's like my backup
Yeah.
plan. If I do nothing else, I'll do that. Except lately I've been playing a lot of video games, so I haven't even done my walk lately, which is bad.
It's something that I really enjoy. And last summer, so when I lost my job because of the pandemic last summer, I had all the time in the world. So I was like probably the fittest I had ever been, because I was just like, I'm going to work out all day. It wasn't all day, it was like 2 hours a day, but getting out in the sun just to get that vitamin D throughout the day, and also walking, my tan was on point. I felt really good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like just those little things really, really do add up.
Yeah, I guess you don't get much sun in Canada, eh? I keep
We
saying
do.
A. You're getting me to say A at the end of my sentences now.
I don't even know if I've said that yet,
I don't think
but
you have. We do it in
so
Michigan too, though. So
okay. We do get sun. We had a beautiful sunny day yesterday, and then we get snow today. So it's a little all over the place. But our summers, like our summer last summer, I have no complaints. It was like 40 degrees some days. Like it was beautiful. So we do have long winters, but those summers from June to August, we savor in every bit of sunshine that we can.
Yeah. Love it. So what's a lot of people like to know just a general day of eating, what you eat on a day-to-day basis, your meals. I think you do that on Instagram sometimes. Don't you share those?
Yeah, I've done a couple posts and reels about that. I know I did one reel that was a real success for a lot of people. So typically I do fast every day. Or not every, I'd say 95% of my days I do fast. So my first meal isn't until lunchtime. So during the mornings, I'm drinking water
Do you
and
have a
black
specific
coffee.
time? Like you don't eat before noon, period?
No, so sometimes if I finish, so sometimes I'm really hungry for dinner and I eat at 5 and my eating window closes at 6. So the next day, if I was hungry at 10 a.m., I do the 16 and 8 method typically. Some days I go longer because I'm so busy with work that I forget to eat. Um, but yeah, usually around noon is like, that's the latest, noon to 1 o'clock.
Mhm.
And I usually do like a brunch. So I work from home now, which is great, super convenient. So I'll usually have like 2 eggs, some turkey bacon, or a sausage or steak, whatever potentially you have left over from the evening before. Or I just do a big salad with like chicken, eggs, bacon, all that kind of stuff. Or even like just a snack plate. So pork rinds, prosciutto, salami, cheese, nuts, those kinds of things if I'm really in a bind.
Mhm.
And then for dinner, we'll do, again, like main proteins, so steak, chicken, burgers, whatever. And then steamed veggies, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. Cauliflower is like my favorite food. Or like a nice big salad. And oftentimes I'll make double of what's for dinner and have that for lunch the next day for either myself or my partner. Um, and then I'll have a keto treat. Often, if I like after dinner, I'll have like we have no sugar added ice cream, so I'll have that or some keto chocolates with like a little bit of peanut butter or berries.
Mhm.
Um, that's typically what I'll do. I'll often in the afternoons have a bulletproof coffee as my like afternoon sweet treat. And it just keeps me satiated until dinner. And
Mhm.
I don't need to snack while I'm making dinner because I'm like fully satisfied. So that's typically day to day what I'm eating.
That sounds good. So 2 meals usually?
Yeah, two like decent sized meals. And then I mean, if there are days where I'm feeling like peckish, I'll have some snacks and it's usually like either like wisps or pork rinds or some peely nuts, stuff like that. I don't typically eat my sweet, like my keto treat until after dinner. I like saving that for the end of the day to just sit down and relax with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I usually keep any of that to the end of the day to say, yes, I made it.
How long did it take you to get to this formulation? Like, was there a lot of trial and error and trying different things?
Yeah, so like I said, I hadn't fasted until I was about a year and a half in to my journey because I didn't know about it, to be honest. So every day I was having like an egg, these two, like I would make egg white cups with spinach and turkey, like every single day. That was my breakfast. And I would have a coffee with cream and sweetener. That was, and I mean, I could still probably do that, but when I wake up in the morning, I just crave a black coffee now, which is so, that's how I knew I was old, is like, oh my God, I like black coffee now. So eventually when I started learning more about fasting, I actually went to a fasting seminar in Toronto and
Oh,
heard these great, actually Switch Grocery put it on. And I got to hear Andrea Lombardi, as well as I'm going to forget her name. I feel so terrible, but she's an associate of Dr. Jason Fung, and they talked about
Megan
fasting, the
Ramos.
fasting method. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I was like, I see her face. She's blonde hair. Yes, Megan Ramos, and they did a huge talk on fasting and how it can benefit you. And I said, okay, let me
Yeah.
give this a try. Uh, I had no idea I was actually really doing it. If I just cut the cream out of my coffee in the morning, I had no idea that it was possible. I just always thought you're depriving your body of food. Like that's not good for you. All the, all of the things that
Starvation
we hear
mode.
about fast. Yeah, starvation, God forbid. But really, I'm giving my body a break from consuming constant calories. Like I thought about it like obviously later and I said, I'm sleeping for 8 hours. What do I need to wake up and refuel from? Like I have been laying down for 8 hours. I don't need to refuel my body right now.
Hmm.
So that's when it started to kind of gravitate more towards me having my first meal at lunch. And the women on the panel did talk about, exercising that fasting muscle. So initially I was like, okay, I'm going to push my coffee to 8 a.m. I also used to be at work for 6:30 a.m. at a mine site. So I was like up at 5 a.m. every single day. And I was like, okay, for me not to have a coffee until 8 or 9, like that's a stretch. So it took some time to push my eating window back. But I mean, it only took a couple of weeks and I stretched that or worked out that fasting muscle and eventually got there. And now it's just a secondary thing. There are days of the month where I'm waking up and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. So I just have something that's super protein and fat dense. Like I'll do bacon and eggs and be done with it. I don't punish myself for being hungry. And I think that's something that people can struggle with. So
yeah. In chat, guys, let us know if you have any questions. Winding down here a little bit. So for your macros, do you get particular with the macros? Do you have like a certain amount of fat and protein you try to eat, or is it mostly just keep it low carb, hit my daily calorie goal, and that's kind of your thing?
I definitely monitor my net carbs. I try and stay between 20 and 30, depending on my workouts for the day. Like if I know I'm doing an intense workout and I'm going to 30 grams of net carbs, but they're all coming from whole foods like broccoli or Brussels sprouts, I'm okay with that. I do keep an eye on my protein because I always want to make sure that I have enough protein. But the fat, I mean, I kind of use it as a lever. I don't add any extra fat to my meals. Like if I'm having a big juicy steak, I'm not adding on a ton of fats into my meal because it is so nutrient dense. But I mean, the bulletproof coffee that I make has some healthy fats that are incorporated into it. If I'm making a salad, I'm using olive oil or avocado oil to boost those fats, but I'm not going out of my way to make sure I'm hitting my fat goal of the day. Just mainly monitoring protein, making sure I'm getting enough, and then also just monitoring my carbs and ensuring that the carbs are coming from like a whole food and not, a bunch of keto desserts. One of my girlfriends actually has this rule where she tries to do 5 grams of net carbs only from keto treats. And I think that's a great rule to abide by. And that's what I've been sticking with. So yeah.
Yeah, I like the rules like that, but then there's people that try to exploit them, like with the free Weight Watchers foods. You know about
Yeah,
Weight
no, I'm
Watchers?
not exploiting it.
Do you know about how there's free
I'm
foods
not
on Weight
saying,
Watchers? Yeah.
yes.
My mom was really into it for a while. So she was like always telling me about her free foods.
So you know what? That was one thing that my mom also was into Weight Watchers. She is now keto as well. But Weight Watchers was never something I actually like really stuck with. I never like actually went to a meeting or paid for it. I just like knew the idea behind it. But yeah, I don't abuse the system. Like if there's like a bread that's 0 net carbs, well, I'm not going to go and eat 10 slices of it. Like I definitely am mindful that rule can be abused, but I know how I'm going to feel after if I abuse it. So I just rather not.
Yeah. Question in chat. What constitutes enough protein for you?
So I don't want to say like the actual number because I feel like everyone's different. I use the Keto Connect macro calculator.
Oh.
And then I also there's another one on ruled.me. That's another website that people have used and referenced. And I go and I'm putting it to where I'm lightly active. I actually have a range in my calories. So the days that I'm not doing a heavy workout or I'm not lifting heavy, my protein might be lower, or my calories even for the day in total are going to be lower. But if I know I'm going to be on my bike for 3 hours doing like an outdoor ride, or if I'm going to be lifting super heavy, then my calories go up and therefore my protein will go up. So I know that there's ranges that you can put or the multiplier that you can put. And I can't remember if this is how it works on the Keto Connect website, but 0.8 is what I'm multiplying to get my protein. And I think that's like a happy medium between being sedentary and moderately active. So that's how I'm calculating my protein.
Yeah, I have the macro calculator on screen. Point 0.8 is what we set it up for as default. You can change that though. Some people like to do 1. Some people like to do point 0.6. That's usually the range people will do, like between point
Yeah.
0.6 and 1. So
Yeah.
if you're running the calculator for me, I'm about 190. My protein at point 0.8 grams would be like 125 grams. Some people like to do a little more, I would say. So most people my size would probably be doing around 150. But an easy way to think about it too is 1 gram or point 0.8 grams of protein for your goal weight, like what you think your goal weight is going to be. So for a 200-pound person, it should be a little under 200 grams of protein, basically, like 150 to 180, somewhere in there is a
Mhm.
good starting point. Um, Nothing else really in chat. So where can the people find you? We got the Instagram, of course, right?
Yeah, sugar-free Brie, all one word. I'm on Facebook as well. Same thing, sugar-free Brie. And my website is sugarfreebrie.com. I share some of my most popular blogs on the website. I talk about my weight loss plateau, fasting. I also share more recipes on there, and any stores or products that I'm currently liking, I'll share those on my website as well.
Yeah, and she takes all these pictures. I'm showing your website on screen right now,
Nice.
which is newly launched, I hear.
Yes, yes. It's been up for a couple weeks now, so it's expanding hopefully soon. But yeah, we've got the basics up there so far, which is nice.
Oh, I like this one. Keto, fasting, and habit stacking.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I learned pretty early on. So habit stacking is essentially you're starting off building those blocks to get you that solid foundation. So for me, it was really honing in on my food and making sure that I was comfortable with what I was eating. So that for me included tracking. So I made sure I had my macros calculated. I knew what I should be eating and what not to be eating. And then I slowly incorporated working out, and then eventually fasting came into that. But again, this is like a year and a half journey of incorporating all those things slowly to get the results that ended up happening over the 2 years.
Yeah, awesome. So, guys, link down below is her website. Definitely a cool article. Looking to hear more on your website.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So that's gonna do it. Everyone, check out Sugar Free Brie Instagram. She's always posting good stories. And are you gonna continue on with the Keto Collective?
Absolutely. I work has just taken over my life in the last month, but I do have my next guest lined up, and as soon as I can actually settle in for an evening and dedicate the hour that I have been, then 100%. He's already signed on, so we're just waiting on a date that I can actually sit down and clear my mind for an hour and dedicate that to him. So I can't wait.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good one, guys.